all these kids ran outside to witness this. So they all clearly witnessed it. And the teachers and staff also.
Murders, mysteries, unexplained stories, and our family's crazy opinions on them all. Join us now. The Family School of Thought is in session.
Hey guys, how's everybody doing today?
Good.
Hello.
Everybody doing good? Good. Welcome once again to the Family School of Thought. Hope you guys are having a good week. It's really cold here right now. Jesse, how's it there?
You mean Cassie? Or
well, I was going to start with you.
Okay.
Yeah, start with you.
I decided to go for a walk on lunch. And I was wearing a skirt with no tights, and I made it about 10 minutes, and I said, no more. It was cold.
It was warmer this morning than it was this afternoon.
It was. Yep, it was. That's how it went for me.
Okay.
I was freezing.
You guys can see where I'm at.
Yes, I'm loving it.
Yes.
I am missing it.
All right, Cass, how about you? What's the weather like that there in Portland?
Today was pretty rainy, but we did have on Sunday snow pretty much all day. Which was kind of crazy. Yeah. It didn't stick. It was like very much just sleet almost, but we did have snow.
Did you put that salt out?
No, it wasn't that bad, but it was like nobody knew how to drive. There's like not a single inch of snow on the ground, like not even an inch of snow on the ground, not even a dusting on the road. And it was mayhem on the roads.
Did you get some sidewalk salt ready for this year?
I do have sidewalk salt. I got it last year, and then I never had to use it, and it's just been sitting in my little like back compartment that like opens up.
Yeah.
In the back of my car. It's just been sitting.
Well, you got it ready for whatever you need.
But I have it ready for if it gets bad again.
Yeah. Okay, good.
You need one of those fold-up shovels.
Well, I don't think you're going to be shoveling it.
Is it going to get that bad?
Yes, sometimes.
Well, it's not going to get that bad, but it's like 1 week out of the year we get like probably like 6 inches, and then because we're unprepared for snow, our roads don't get plowed. It just freezes over, and so the worst part is that it just freezes over, and so there's like nothing you can do to get out.
Yeah.
So then she's stranded.
So then I'm stuck on a sheet of ice
Texas.
trying to move. Yeah. But
well, just be prepared and have roads like Michigan, then you'll be fine.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But Jess, got any fun facts? We'll go on without him.
Yeah.
How's that wine?
Not a big fan of the Aldi Advent calendar for wine calendar. Not a big fan.
Oh,
yeah.
It's okay. Today's okay. It's a Cabernet, but
yeah.
So I got some fun facts. I got really overly excited in the last couple weeks, and I did a lot of facts. And I realized that I kind of skipped a couple weeks of facts. I just went too far ahead. So I got to calm down a little bit. So this week,
right. Don't run out.
Yeah, so they're not such fun facts. I mean, they're mental floss, amazing facts, but they're not as fun as they normally are. So the Hass avocado was patented in 1935 by Rudolf Haas, a mailman from California. So there you go. Some fun facts about avocado. Didn't know that one. The great white shark. Did you know the great white shark can very rarely survive in captivity? This is why you don't see them in aquariums most of the time, because experts suspect that the electricity in the buildings and even in the glass itself, in the aquariums, interfere with the electrosensory systems in the shark.
Interesting. I wonder why, like, no other fish really has that. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, why they don't? Because even there's like jellyfish are they can survive in aquariums.
Yeah, I feel like I've
A
seen them in a
whale.
couple aquariums, but maybe they have different where it's more open. I don't know. I was gonna say it's more open, but I guess the electricity.
Well, it seems like we've seen them in the aquarium at the Great Lakes Crossing. They have shark, but
That's
they're
what
just
I was
baby
thinking too.
ones.
But maybe because maybe they're baby, or
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
they're not great white. They're just
Yeah, great white sharks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think
Sharks.
there is something somewhere where you can like pet, like they're not.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
think they're
those are
baby
sea
sharks. I
rays.
don't know.
Sea rays are
Nope.
you
sea
can
rays
pet,
are-
but the sharks you can't pet.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah. But Great Lakes Crossing at the
They're frozen.
aquarium, Sea Life is the name of the aquarium. Okay,
It's not
I have
good.
one more mental floss amazing fact. So in Canada, letters that are written to Santa Claus get sent to the postcode HOHOHO. So it's ho ho ho.
HOHOOAO.
Nope, that's not what I said.
So
That's not even close.
that was too many letters.
HOHOHO.
HOHO. It's ho ho ho.
Ho ho ho. Okay. Ho ho ho.
Yep.
So since we're like doing this, and I'm kind of running out. We're coming to the end of this calendar, mental floss amazing facts calendar. So I got to calm down a little bit. But here's an amazing fact that people may not know for our listeners if they want to know. The train in Polar Express, since we were talking about Santa Claus, Polar Express, the little cartoon movie that Tom Hanks is in, that train is stationed in Owasso, Michigan.
Mhm.
And you can actually ride that train to Christmastown.
But it's also under repair this year.
It's under repair this year, but it's stationed in Owasso. That train was used for the movie. They used it and designed the cartoon train off of the train from Owasso, and all the sounds of the train in the movie are from the actual train in Owasso.
Mhm.
So that's a fun fact. If you're into
That's
trains
good.
and you like Polar Express, the Polar Express train is stationed in Owasso. And you can still see it. It's under repair right now, but you can still see it.
Right. And there's been many rides to the Christmas town.
And you can hear it. If it goes through
Yes.
the towns that you live in, we hear it. We don't this year, but we typically will hear it go multiple times during.
I drive over the tracks many times that it comes through. So if I could just sit there and wait for it.
Yep. So there you go. There's some amazing facts for you. One little tidbit.
Yeah. Tidbit.
Awesome.
Okay, so Cass, how about a song?
Okay.
One for us this week?
So, I do have a song for us this week. It's a very well-known song. And I think it has kind of the same problem that Mbop by Hanson had. Not
What's
only
the problem?
because
There's
it's
a
a
lot of
90s
issues
hit.
with that.
Oh, well, not only because it's not like a 90s hit, but because it has this very like upbeat chorus, people forget what the actual song is about.
The meaning of it, yeah.
But this is Waterfalls by TLC.
Yes! I was trying to guess what song I was gonna be. There you go.
It is Waterfalls by TLC. Yeah, it has a very catchy, lyrics. And so a lot of people forget that it's not even like a hidden meaning. Like the first verse is about a young mother who is trying to stop her son from selling drugs on the streets. And it ends up being a futile, mission because he ends up dying from selling drugs. And then the second verse is about, I think, sex work to begin with, but then it actually ends up with, I've never caught this before, but one of the last lyrics of the verse is, three little letters took him to his final resting place.
Yeah.
Which I guess I always just thought meant like R.I.P., like, rest in peace.
No.
But it's about AIDS.
AIDS, HIV.
Yeah. The character contracts AIDS and dies. So it's the song in general is just very much about don't
Chasing waterfalls.
yeah, like don't go chasing water, sticks to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. It's about playing it safe, basically. Like, don't go out and do dangerous things because they have deadly consequences.
And it is a good song.
It's a good song, but it is about death and
what
can happen to the people that you love.
And TLC they were before Destiny's Child.
Right.
They were way ahead of their time, I want to say.
Yeah,
as a
I agree.
Group. But they had a lot of bops. They had a lot of good songs.
Yeah. But they also were, stricken by death itself because Left Eye Lisa died in a plane crash.
I remember when that happened.
Yeah.
I remember Jesse, you and Nikki and Casey singing that song all the time.
Yeah, we didn't know what it meant when we were singing it.
No.
I didn't either.
Yeah, it's very clearly about drugs and AIDS and sex work. So,
what year did that song come out? Was it?
Had to be about 90, 91, 92, 93, around that time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay. I was thinking mid-90s.
Yeah.
They had it up earlier.
I'd say early 90s.
Let's see. I'm going to Google it. 94.
94.
So, Cassie, I'm sure you remember it.
Yeah,
I remember it well.
a baby.
I remember well.
I'm sure you heard it.
Oh, yeah, yes. I have heard it a million times.
I meant when you were 1. A million times.
Yep. What I can remember, like when I hear that song, the only thing I can think of now is the movie We're the Millers.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I think a lot of people think that.
But I also think of their music video because it was like I remember it being a really good music video too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's like when people kind of actually listen to the lyrics because the music video is a depiction of what's happening.
Yeah.
And so people are like, oh, okay.
Right.
But that's the song for the week.
All right. Very good. Very good. Okay. Well, I believe I'm up this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I have an interesting story. I thought it was very fascinating. It is in April 6th of 1966 in Westall, Australia. A very strange occurrence happened. The whole town witnessed it, but mainly they called it a high school in the whole story, but most of the kids were like 13 that they interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
And what it was they seen 3 flying objects outside their school. Some of the kids were outside already playing when they came along, but other kids were like seeing them out the windows. And so the whole school ran outside and to witness 3 flying saucers. And they were just kind of levitating on the ground, and then they kind of went up on end like that and then took off into the sky. And one of them actually went a little bit beyond the school grounds where they used to do track and stuff and landed.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Anybody come up missing? Did they have a missing person?
Well, a bunch of kids ran out there to it, and they got close enough that they could feel it was hot. It was hot.
Huh.
And one girl actually went up to it, and they think she touched it. They weren't really sure. But later that day, she collapsed, and they come and got her, and nobody's ever seen her since.
What? Who came and got her?
The ambulance come and got her because she collapsed, and they never seen her again. Okay, so all these people literally witnessed this. It's actually the largest UFO sighting in Australia. However,
in Australia, just in Australia,
and in Australia. What's funny about that?
Like, does that mean there's been like more people who've seen math in like the US or in China or Russia?
I don't know. There was over 200 people witnessed this. So it's not like, and it was in
Seems
midday.
like, I'm just saying, like, it's like one of those things where it's like, is it like really big where like for 5 people in this place, but like everywhere else has had like 1 million people before?
It's the largest one in Australia. Had more people seen it. 200 people had seen it in midday. It wasn't like in the middle of the night, some farmer seen it, or some couple going down the road, country road.
The largest sighting ever anywhere or just in Australia?
That's literally the discussion we're just having.
I
know, but I mean, do you think that
there's never been a sighting this big?
Don't you think that we have seen more sightings here in the United States?
Mass though, like mass people. Yeah. So like at one time, 200 people saw this.
Yeah.
But I thought it was just at the school.
Yeah, guess what, Mom? Some schools have more than 100 kids in them. Okay. Matt's high school in Arizona, when he was out there, his graduating class had 1,500 kids in it.
Yeah.
His graduating class.
That's
the size of your hometown.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's move past the like biggest in Australia part.
Okay.
I didn't mean to cause that big of a pause.
It was Australia's largest sighting.
Yes.
But was it
in history,
biggest sighting in the world?
Time before man existed on this planet, never had there been over 200 people that witnessed the same thing.
In Australia.
In Australia. I don't even want to do the story.
We're like stuck on one little point.
It's like, fuck. Jesus.
Okay.
Let's just do this next week, okay?
Okay.
We're ready.
So nobody's seen that girl. She went to the hospital.
And nobody in the entire planet and eternity have ever seen this girl again.
It could be me. Okay.
So this girl got taken away in an ambulance. Did people witness her being taken away? Like, were the EMTs?
Yeah, they all seen her come and get her and take her
away. Were the EMTs human?
And it was all of the other people that were outside, none of them were affected by this.
All 200 of them.
All 200 of them. Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, nobody else was affected, just that one girl.
Right.
That is kind of weird. One girl.
I mean.
But if she's the only one that touched it.
Right.
But then what happened to her after the EMTs took her?
Nobody's ever seen her before again.
I know, but where did the EMTs drop her off at? Yeah. I mean.
Well, I have a story here, but I'm afraid to continue it.
Well, we're interested. Come on, hurry up. Get with the program.
We're interested if this is the biggest one ever.
Did nobody else touched the spaceship?
Nobody else touched it that they know of. Okay. So all these kids ran outside to witness this. So they all clearly witnessed it. And the teachers and staff also. Mm-hmm. One of the teachers actually took a camera and started taking pictures of these. So she just took like a whole roll of pictures, of this. And so they kind of hovered outside, and then they went up on end and took off into the sky. One later landed in this field where they do track. So the bunch of kids ran out there. The one girl literally touched. They think she touched it. They don't really know for sure if she touched it or not. But she was the one to get the closest. Like she was the only one that would get right up to it. And but they could all feel the heat off of it. And then it just kind of levitated back up, turned on its side, and took off. And it left a big burn. Grass was all burnt where it left it. And so then one of the teachers says that it got a bunch of siesta planes. Is that what they're called? Military planes. Just came from all over and surrounded these things. There's 3 of them. One guy, a farmer, says he claimed to see 5 of them. But the planes just kind of surrounded them, and then they took off, and the planes chased them, but obviously they couldn't keep up with speed because it just went unbelievably fast away from there. Okay.
Yeah.
So then the headmaster of the school got all the students together and wouldn't let them leave school. And the military and the police all came. And oddly enough, they were all there within 20 minutes of this occurrence. So the military, the police, everybody was there within 20 minutes. And the police were keeping all the media away from the school. And so the headmaster got all them into an assembly, and they started telling them that they were not allowed to tell anybody what they seen. And it was all top secret. And it was a weather balloon that they seen, not flying saucers.
Which isn't that what they said in the United States too? It was a weather balloon.
And oddly enough, Australia has their own Area 51.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did this story too. So anyways, the headmaster gets them all together. They have an assembly with the military, police, and everybody there, and they start threatening all these kids. You do not mention this to anybody. Don't mention it to your families. Do not mention it to the media. Don't, this is not to be discussed ever again. So finally, they let all the kids go home, and one girl did meet with the media and said exactly what she's seen, and of course they came down on her and threatened to kill her, threatened to say she was a liar and disgrace her and stuff. And the one of the teachers said, no, I know what I've seen. You're not going to tell me. And he threatened to go to the media, or he did go to the media, but they totally disgraced him and told everybody he was an alcoholic and kind of run him out of town. And so this was in 1966. And since then, the whole town would chastise anybody that mentioned this. If these kids said anything about it, well, like a couple weeks later, they had another big meeting at the school with all the kids, and they took them separately into this room with these, military people. And several of them claimed that it was American military people.
It was what?
American military people.
Oh.
Like our military, not Australian military.
And so they took them separately into this room and said, okay, I suppose you're going to tell us you've seen a UFO. I suppose you're going to tell us they were little gray men. It just tried to make them feel really stupid for thinking that,
Gaslighting.
Gaslighting them.
yeah, right. And so the whole town, anytime any of these kids would say anything, they would be like, oh, you guys are on drugs. You hallucinated this. It was just a mass hysteria. None of this happened to happen. And the whole town bought into this, saying this. And so these kids literally grew up with this big story that nobody would believe. And even the teacher that took all the pictures, they confiscated the camera. They took it away from her, and they said, you did not see any of this stuff, right? And so all these years, this is the way it's went. Anytime these kids said anything, it was like, you're imagining this. And it wasn't just the kids at the school neither. There was another young kids in a field somewhere, that seen this. And they went up to afterwards and seen all these burn marks and things. And they were totally, disgraced in town. like a farmer did see. He's the one that said he's seen 5. And anytime they would try to go to the media or report a story, it would be just totally, you were drinking, you were drugs, or, like anything to make them feel dumb and stupid for what they are saying. So in 2010, then there was one military professor who at the time, he was like making the rounds on talk shows and stuff. And he was, his name was Donald. I can't remember. His last name was McDonald. And he was like a top, military person going around and saying, I don't know about the story, but, the theory behind there being, UFOs is possible and stuff. And the government totally made him into this big loser. He was a child molester and just totally ruined his reputation. And he ended up committing suicide over it. He was the only one that he didn't say it happened, but he said it's possible. This is, it's not out of. But then in 2010, a reporter investigator named Sean Ryan, said, I'm going to investigate this because I've been hearing about this story for, 40, 50 years. And, and so he went back and started interviewing all these kids that are, now adults in their 60s. And, they all have the exact same story to tell. They all have that same story, how they were just totally shut up by the townspeople, not just the teachers and the, literally your neighbor, like your next door neighbor would be like, that's foolishness. You didn't see anything. You guys were doing drugs or, all this stuff. And, he went back and tried to find like newspaper clippings. And there was some on there the next day, UFOs, it was like supposed UFOs had been found, but all the news media from the television stations and stuff, he went back and he went into the archives and found this videos, but when he got with the reel-to-reels, they had back then, but when he opened them up, they were empty. So somebody had totally wiped the story right out of the news media, everything. Oh, wow. Yeah. So, they're today, now this story's starting to come out because most of those authority people are gone now, that they can admit to it. But so, it was a huge story, but the real story was how they tried to disclaim them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Literally, they all seen this, and it was not a weather balloon, or it was literally flying saucers, and they took them like today. Well, in 2010, they had them all in separate rooms, write down their story and draw pictures of these saucers, and they all were the same. Everything was the same. This farmer that seen them, he went up to them and said, it was a silver metallic. There was no seams in it. There was no rivets in it. It was all one, piece of metal, but they were huge. They were huge.
Mm-hmm. Well, were the other kids or all the other 200 people, was anybody affected by the ship?
No, health-wise, nothing. Nobody was.
No medical history.
Cancer,
No.
Schizophrenia.
No.
I don't think I do believe that it was mass hysteria, but could it have been like maybe there was like a carbon monoxide leak somewhere and it was like a mass like hallucination?
Well, but you think they'd all
Or
see
they
the
did
same
see the
thing.
weather balloons?
And there was people that were not in the school.
That's true.
When this happened, a lot of the kids were outside already.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened in midday, not at night. Usually these things happen at night and you see them in the sky. This happened midday. There was already kids outside. There were people in the town that seen it too. It wasn't just people in the school.
Yeah, I get you.
Now, it's possible that these were, it could have been a military thing.
Right. I was thinking that too.
Thing. What I thought was really odd that the military The military were there within 20 minutes.
Right.
Which
Right.
that's what makes me think it's like a military operation, or they were monitoring it, knowing that it was a potential for a sighting or a landing.
Well, they could have been monitoring. They've seen these UFOs before they got here.
Right,
seen
right.
They were following them.
And was
or
it
could have been them? You know what I mean?
was it U.S. military or was it Australian
Well,
military?
it was Australian military was there right away, but several of these, I'll say kids, but they're in their 60s now. They were saying when they came back to interview them and tell them you did not see this, those were American military.
Wow.
Which makes sense because really the first UFO sighting, alien sighting was in Roswell in 1945?
49, I think.
That was the first one?
47.
47.
Well, no, that was not the first sighting. That was the first national.
No.
Okay,
headline.
yeah, maybe that's what I'm
Okay,
thinking.
yeah,
Like the biggest news.
I mean,
one.
honestly, we've had UFO sightings since the beginning of time.
Right.
Jesus,
Right.
yeah.
So,
I was gonna say something. I don't know.
But that's what I mean. Roswell was like the first
Crash.
Because
Because that's the thing is, it was a crash.
Yeah, it was a crash. But it was
and
like
they
the
literally
first big
had aliens.
media
They
one.
claimed to have had,
Yeah. Right.
aliens.
Mhm.
So Australia said, "Let's get our friends from down
America.
under who knows how to handle this."
It kind of makes me think that there are this UFO sightings, and that research is a global thing. It's not just in the
Right.
United States.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they're all alerted to this.
yes, but I also
When the Americans are alerted, so are the Australians. Everybody. There's a team of people.
Mm-hmm.
yes, if it's aliens, yes, but I also think it was probably an American military test, like weapons test, because unfortunately, U.S. is the only country in the world that has military bases everywhere in the world. So they were probably testing something, and that's why they were the ones to come and say, no, you didn't see this. Because it was probably something they didn't want let out to the public that they were testing.
Well, I'm assuming that they were already working on matters of that potential going on, but you can't not believe that there are other living souls anywhere else in the United
Oh,
States.
I totally agree. I think there are aliens, but with the American military coming in and saying, no, you didn't see anything,
Right.
making it such a big point to like basically ruin people's careers, force them to ruin their lives.
They had to play on all these.
Right. Like
right.
to not, because if it was, honestly, as weird as it sounds, but if it was aliens, I just don't think American military would get involved. You know what I mean? Like they would let the Australian military deal with it. Like there's no reason that Americans only deal with aliens. Are the only military that deals with aliens.
Wow.
Yeah, who knows?
I just think
and to think that they spent 50, 60 years suppressing this story.
Right.
Shutting people up anytime somebody mentioned it.
And I how do you know that they're not just right next door? That they can not change into something.
What's that TV show? Third Rock from the Sun. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Where they live, they just live as humans.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's the same as Men in Black, though, too. It's like the aliens
Elon
are
Musk,
living
isn't
inside.
Elon Musk an alien?
Yeah.
Maybe,
He's definitely out of this world.
I mean, if they can get a spaceship that can go that fast, that you can blink your eyes.
That was another thing, like the speed, and it's always the same thing on these UFO sightings.
Right, they're always fast.
It's not even comprehensible. We can't comprehend going that fast.
Right.
There's nothing we have that would go that fast.
Yes, and I also feel like with not just American military, but military worldwide, I feel like we know that there's some planes that can go fast that that are military, aircrafts and stuff. that we
Yes.
don't know about. Like there's, I'm
Yeah.
sure, secret.
Ours go fast, but I mean, I've never
Not like this.
I've never
No, but
heard of any witnesses saying that they're gone in a blink. I mean, you see
You
them
know,
and
and
then
like the
he's gone. You
teacher,
can still see
the one teacher, and he was a science teacher at the time, who's an old man now, but he said, like literally it would be here in the sky and within seconds it's, over there, miles away within a second, it's going that fast.
And do you think that could be like a lapse of time? We've talked about,
Well, and time is our
space.
thing. It's not
right. And I think of too, like Buzz Lightyear's movie Lightyear. He goes on this mission that takes 4 minutes for him, but it's 4 years or multiple years on the planet that they're on.
Right.
So he cuts back 4 minutes later, like years have passed. And I think that's something too for like in this kind of a situation, the UFO is traveling 4 minutes when we're seeing it in years.
Right.
So
right.
the concept of time is.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to, I mean, the time concept. I don't know. It's just, that's pretty scary though. And then to not know where that woman went or lady or.
Yeah, she's never been
Little
seen
girl.
or heard of again.
And what do those kids say about her disappearing?
They at the time she never came back to school, and anytime somebody questioned it, it was just like, we don't talk about that.
Well, could it possibly be that she touched it, burned her hand, and then her parents were just so upset that she got hurt at that school that she just changed school districts?
Well, in my mind, I was thinking she probably got radiation and died.
Yeah, that
Right.
too. I was thinking that too. Like maybe she got
probably-
hurt more than people
And
thought.
her parents were probably told, don't talk about this. And so they didn't. So nobody ever had an explanation. I don't know if this guy, Sean, whatever his name was, went back and found medical records on her.
And did they
That's true.
interview her mother and father ever?
They knew her name. It wasn't like they didn't know who she was. I think her name was
They
Wendy.
never talked to the parents of that child.
Yeah.
They didn't say. They didn't say if they
No.
ever interviewed the parents. They just said she never returned to school, and nobody ever explained why.
Hmm.
But they did call an ambulance. They come and got her and took. She collapsed later in the day, and then they took an ambulance, came and took her away.
Maybe. Well, I don't know.
But like right off the bat, the military, the police were there to keep the media away from, because of course the media just swarmed the school.
Yeah.
Right. And they were there, not letting anybody talk to the media and making sure they were staying clear of everything. So, yeah, I mean, somehow the military and the police were connected, and they knew how to act very fast on something like this, or
Right.
knew of it coming, or knew of what was happening.
Right.
They were there. They, wouldn't be here in our little town in 20 minutes, if something like that happened.
Well,
They were there right off the bat to control what everybody was saying and thinking.
where's the nearest military base? I don't feel like it's that
There is a
far.
military base.
I think it's in
not
Grayling.
No, there's got to be one closer.
from us.
Yeah.
Oh, probably. Well, there's one in Grayling. There used to be one in Oscoda.
I mean,
Grayling's
those are all 3 hours away or 2 hours.
I think
Grayling
yeah,
is
Grayling is the
closest,
biggest
2
one.
hours.
Grayling is the nearest one. Yeah.
Right, and it's 2 hours. And if you go to
Oscoda's
Oscoda,
not there no more. They closed that one. So.
right, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
So
Grayling would be the nearest one from us.
Right.
But there was a military base not like an hour away from this school.
There's not. Oh, there's one. It's an hour away.
Because, like, could it be feasible for them to get there within 20 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it
I
seems fast,
suppose-
but is it feasible?
I suppose, I don't even know how it happened, but probably the local police, could be there within minutes. and the
Well,
military.
and the military people,
I
they
don't know
might
if they
could have.
all came in all at one time, or if they trickled in. I'm suppose
Right.
there was local military people around.
Right, and the military people that are, they're not on base. They might be in their homestead.
Well, still though, I mean, like you got to get
They
up,
probably were the ones
get
that
ready,
showed
get
up
in
and
the
then
car,
went on
drive. I
to.
mean, it's not like you're right there on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Interesting.
definitely unidentifiable. Like
Right.
it was a UFO, whether it came from us or them. But
Did they say how big it was? Like how big they were?
Big. They were massive, big.
Like, would you say like?
Well,
Would it be
said,
the
like,
size of a
747?
like a size of a boat? I mean, not a boat,
one
but
lady
I mean,
said it was like 3
airplane.
car lanes.
How big?
What did you say, Mom? You got to stop talking a little bit. What did you say?
Dad.
Like 3 car lengths.
Okay. Thank you.
It was a circle, but it was about.
Oh, it was a circle?
They're saucers, flying saucers.
Well, I don't know. I was picturing them like oblong, like a.
No, they were, and they drew them, and it was just a typical, like you say, flying saucer with a dome on top, and lights
So
around.
could it have been a weather balloon? Because that's exactly what weather balloons look like.
No, it was not. They do not look like that.
Yes, they do. They're literally like spherical. They're like, because there's a whole documentary about this couple who puts their kid in a weather balloon, and it looks like a spaceship.
No, that does not look like spaceship. I know.
Yes, it does.
Well, no, they weren't that.
You mean that true story where the kid went in the weather balloon and then it went off, and then come to find out he was just hiding in his room the whole time?
Yes.
Yes, that one.
But that definitely looks like a UFO when they're blown up. No, I don't think they move fast, but if it was a windy day, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, they're not going to take off like that and go like this and then turn.
It's a balloon in the wind.
Yeah, but it doesn't shoot out of sight that fast. I mean,
and military police or planes are not going to be chasing them.
I also think though, like,
and then they can go faster than the planes.
Here's like a devil's advocate type of situation though. I've seen like airplanes when I'm driving, airplanes coming in or leaving the airports, and just the way that the sun catches them or whatever, like the light reflecting off the planes or the lights on the planes, it looks like it could be like, what is that? It doesn't look like a plane. Also,
well, if a plane landed in your backyard, would you go?
No, I agree with that. But I've also, some of the stuff too, I think is just people, it's an optical illusion kind of a situation where people think that they see a UFO and it's really not. Because I know, man, I watched one of those like tinfoil balloons, like the shiny ones.
That's the weather balloon.
No, like a birthday one, like a
like an aluminum.
Just like just like a little tiny one.
Aluminum.
Or like a normal size one for like a birthday party. And we videotaped it, watching it, like going over like Kroger or something, and then we sent it to Ryan, Matt's brother, and Ryan's like, "Oh my God, that's a UFO." And we're like, yeah. We played that trick for him for like an hour or like for like a year. And then we finally were like, it was just a balloon. Wow. So I do think some of it is people see what they want to see, or it's that optical illusion of, is it a duck or is it a rabbit? Like, right. What are you seeing?
Right. I think
I don't think the local police and the military are going to come threaten.
Yes, but if you're getting here's the thing: if you're getting like mass calls about multiple like something like in the sky, you're getting mass calls. You're not going to have like the local police show up to this. Like if you're getting that many calls, like obviously big guns are going to come in, and they don't know what it is, so they're going to chase it and fly after it and do all this stuff that you think is very suspicious, but it's just them trying to figure out what's going on. And
I do
I think Jesse's right with the like it could just be, especially if it's now, yes, like in the moment we're getting all this stuff, but then in 50 years later when we're asking them to draw this stuff, there's no way that their memory is that good that it's all correct and it's all the same, because memory is a fickle thing and it will change things. So each memory is going to be different.
And if you fully you see this as a 13-year-old and like say it is a weather balloon and it crashed or whatever, kind of thing, or it was a military operation or whatever, then in your mind as a 13-year-old, you grow up and become an adult and live the next 50 years of your life thinking, I saw a UFO. You tell yourself a lie so many times that you end up fully believing that you're telling the truth.
Some of these kids, they literally stopped believing it, and they said, "Oh yeah, we must have not really seen that." What I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Of all these years of being saying you didn't see that, they started believing they didn't see it.
Yeah.
And so then when this guy come back and started investigating and asking all these people, they were like, "Well, yeah, I did see it, but I stopped believing what I seen." Because I was told I was crazy.
Right. There you go. There's gaslighting 101. You start believing you're crazy.
Right. I will say it's weird that it was like such a scale that like militaries are coming in and being like, no, actually you didn't see that. You're crazy.
Personally, I think something happened.
I think in this situation,
it wasn't a fluky thing. It wasn't the weather. I mean, for that many people to see,
for a whole town,
and it's not just kids. It was the teachers, and literally one teacher took pictures. I mean, like, and proof, and they took that from her. So
I was gonna say, I it's not really the mass part that is like convincing to me. It is the reaction of the military and the police, like that.
It is hard for me to think that the us on this planet have that knowledge to do that in 1966.
Right.
Yet we're still struggling to make, jet planes that can fly. You know what I mean? Like, obviously. So then we can do it we could do it in 66.
Well,
we can do it now, right? So
see, that's what I've brought up though too. Kind of going back to like we landed on the moon in 1969, right? 69. But then we've never really gone back. Like it's now 2020.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But we're in 2022, so like, why did it take so long? And there's all the rumors of, they found life on the moon, alien life on the moon and stuff. But that's something too that I've always wondered, like we were making so much progress in the 60s. Right. What made us stop with this kind of stuff?
Right.
It's capitalism.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right now. That's exactly why we stopped getting better at things, because if it doesn't take forever to do something, it doesn't take forever, and you can't charge large amounts of money to do it. Same thing with trains in America. That's why we don't have a whole train system.
Made us stop. You know what I mean? Maybe they said, "Hey, you guys don't know what you're getting into."
That too.
Yeah.
That too. But
I don't know. I really feel like there's something to it. And it could be our government or the Australian government, but that was in 1966. And we were still flying jets or, propelling a rocket into space. So obviously we had way more technology and why haven't we done anything with that in all these years? And it just it's not feasible, you know?
Right.
Because we'd be using that technology for the good at this point.
Right.
Over all these years. So
what world do you live in?
And we would and I don't think that all those kids just imagined it or it was mass hysteria. I don't. And like I said, it was mostly the kids that they are focusing on, but really people throughout the whole town seen it. It wasn't just them, know. And they all said the same thing. It was all the same description, about now one guy said there was 5 and most of them said there was 3, But
maybe if he's a farmer, maybe he had a different vantage, or like a
he was just in a different view. Right.
Yeah, right. Where
Right.
he saw two in a place that nobody else was.
But there's two kids that were out in some like hayfield, and they were hiding. They got down and were hiding in this hayfield, and they watched them land, and then they took off, and then they went out, and it was like a crop circle type thing, like where they had landed, and they went back and they were hiding, and all these official people come out with detectors, and they were all like gathering information from this thing, and then they said they were all like kicking the dirt. All of them were doing it, like just kind of like kicking. And so when they left, they went out there and they were trying to get this. It was kind of burnt but flattened down, like all the wheat had just kind of like seized together. They're obviously trying to break it apart. They're trying to figure out what's going on, but breaking it apart.
Well, when that spaceship left that big ring in the field, did anybody check out what was left there, if there was radiation on the ground?
Well, again, they all checked it out, all the military and everything, but they never released any information on it. But the kids that were there said it left a big burn. The size of it was burned into the grass, But then, they were not allowed to go back out there.
And they've never seen another sighting since then. And you said that there was 5 of them?
Right. Well, one person says it was 5. Most of them said there was 3. But like I said, that guy was from a different...
And nobody ever seen any other sightings on their property?
No, but
after seeing
like 4 days before this...
Yeah.
People had seen some UFO sightings in that area. Not like this, where they actually come down, but, like there was a UFO in the sky type of thing. So they had seen some like 4 days before, and then 2 days after they had some too. Now, there was after I these hallucinations, because it's just on your mind, everybody's talking about it. I could see that, where everybody's going to jump to every light they see is a UFO. Right?
Well, what do you think their mission is?
But as I was doing this story, 1966 was huge for UFO sightings. Huge.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. I mean, they were everywhere. And I know I've told you this story and it was about that time. I would have been born yet. But
yeah, right.
I was going to say, wait a minute. What?
But I was very, very tiny. But I remember,
no.
And of course, it's one of those things, like you said, like all these years later, it plays the trick on your mind. Did I really see that? Or did I remember that right? But I remember getting up and looking out my window, and there was, some kind of aircraft with lights around it, and it wasn't making any noise. And it was just kind of going very slowly, like above the houses, but going down the street, And I seen it. It didn't scare me or anything. I didn't know what it was, but like the next day, my parents were talking about UFO sightings, and I'm like, hey, I think I've seen that. I mean, who knows? It could have been a helicopter or anything, but so I remember that. I remember that pretty strongly, seeing that, but I don't know what it was. I wasn't old enough to really comprehend what it was, but I remember them talking about UFOs and thinking, oh, hey, I've seen that. So who knows? But it had been about 1966, and that there was a lot of sightings in Ann Arbor. There was a bunch of them in the sightings at the White House, all over the world. There was lots of sightings in 1966.
I wonder if it's something, like obviously you say 1966, but I wonder if there's like something along the lines of like specific years. And if there's more activity and why there'd be more activity.
I would think, and this is just my thoughts, but in 1966, nuclear power was like...
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking like Cold War, space race, like, testing a lot of things out.
They were giving to us as a warning to knock it off.
Yeah.
Because most of the sightings, or not most of them, but a lot of sightings are around nuclear plants too.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
As a matter of fact, over in Ukraine, remember when Putin was going to bomb that nuclear plant? They claimed to see all kinds of UFOs around there. now at this time now. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So
You're talking about Chernobyl?
yeah. Remember he was going to blow it up,
Mm-hmm.
and so you know, I think in
That is where
1966,
the Mothman
that's
was.
where we were heading nuclear power. You know,
Right.
and
Right. I
think it was
agree.
maybe warnings from them to say you guys need to knock that off, and of course, then they had Chernobyl, and then we had another one that really put the brakes on that.
Not Hiroshima. What was the Japanese one?
Oh,
Nuclear plant in
yeah,
Japan.
that was not too long ago.
No, this was like in the 60s.
Oh,
Like the Japanese power plant that.
Well, Chernobyl was, or Hiroshima was when we dropped the bomb on.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But there was a Japanese one too. I feel like it's like a nuclear power plant
There was a lot of them
that melted down.
A lot of them are shut down, and a
That's
lot
what
of
I
them
was
are
saying,
run
but it was like within the
very, very minimal.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
And actually, within I don't know. I feel like I want to say it was last year, but it could have been 10 years ago in my memory. But there was a big power plant in New York, and it was right there where everybody could see it, but they would never acknowledge that that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a big nuclear power plant right in New York, right on the water, and nobody would ever acknowledge that's what it is. But like last year, or maybe within the last few years, they closed it.
Mm.
So
did I tell you guys about Matt and I were driving home? This was maybe a year ago, and I swear I saw a UFO in front. Like we were pulling into our driveway, and I swear I saw one. I was highly intoxicated.
Okay.
But Matt was driving, and I'm like, I clearly, I know I was like, I was not driving, but I know I was highly intoxicated. But I clearly remember like seeing something and saying, "What is that?" And then Matt saying, "Holy cow, what is that?" And then he pulled into the driveway, and we both got out to like look, and it wasn't there by the time we pulled into the driveway and got out of our car.
Well, like exactly what do you think you saw?
I don't really remember because I was intoxicated, but I remember it was like, like 3 lights across, like what you would think of as stereotypical, like UFO, like spacecraft kind of thing, but like it was low. Like we lived near the little airport and everything. It's a small airport, not a large one, but it was too low to be an airplane or, and we live near a hospital, but it wasn't loud and no noise to be a helicopter.
Well, it could have been a drone.
It could have, but again, I was highly intoxicated. Matt was driving, but like he still today is like, yeah, it was like something that we saw it and it was too quick that we couldn't register what we actually saw. But and I was, like to the point where, and it was like pitch black outside. Because I remember again, like getting out of the car and like, oh my God, where's Matt? Did he just like leave me outside by myself? Again, because I was intoxicated. But, like I remember like it was pitch black. We couldn't see. We didn't have like our porch lights or anything on. Because we were coming home from, I think his parents' house or something like that. But, yeah, and I am fully convinced, even though I was intoxicated, I'm fully convinced that it was a UFO.
I remember one time, Bill and I went to work out on the house out on, what is it, around Lake Road through Winsburg?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and the house was kind of like on a rural area, and there was nothing behind it. It was kind of open field, and the owner, Bill's doing his work, and the owner goes, they say UFOs don't exist, but he goes, I know they do. And he started telling me this whole story about right outside there, UFO came. He goes, it was like, I want to say he was in the 70s, like mid 70s. Mm-hmm. I don't remember, but he was like dead serious. And he goes, they landed out there and these little guys got out and they were walking around. And he goes, I was sitting there watching the whole thing. He goes, nobody can tell me they don't exist. I've seen it for myself.
Yeah.
He was dead serious. And I'm like, well, what? So then, of course, we get back in the car, and I'm like, did you hear that story he was telling us? And he goes, no. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's like one of those things that, like, for me, with my little experience, like, I know I was very drunk. I don't remember the car ride home too much, but, like, I can clearly remember thinking, like, what is that? Like, just, you know, and then it was, like,
Okay.
too quick to, like, process. But
Here's
it's like,
a story for all of you. Let's say you've seen a UFO land in your backyard tomorrow.
mhm,
You've seen it. You've seen it.
yeah.
Do you come and tell the world, or you keep it to yourself? Do you tell a few?
I would think
friends?
I would think I was hallucinating.
Yeah, I would probably think I was crazy.
You
I'd like
think-
tell it at like
You-
parties. Be like,
You
I swear.
gaslight yourself.
Yeah.
You gaslight yourself.
Yep. I would tell it at like parties or like when I was at things. Like, I don't think this actually happened, but I saw something crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's it. You know, like, I'm telling you guys my little
Right.
thing.
Right. Yeah.
But
That's
it's like
exactly what
nobody
I do.
else, you know, like, and that's the thing though too, is like, I feel like with sightings, it's not just one person that sees it or
Right.
has that sighting. It's multiple people, like the neighbors or whatever, you know. And none of our neighbors have said anything, so it possibly could have just been somebody with a drone in our neighborhood. But we live near a school building. So, because Matt had that drone before he crashed it and ended it, but he had a drone and it was, you know, like, you have to register those, and he wasn't really allowed to fly it around our house because it was too close to the school.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's requirements that you get, like, ticketed for doing that kind of stuff, you know. So I don't, and I've never seen a drone being flown in our neighborhood, but so.
Well,
Okay, guys. I think we need to wrap it up. So, any last thoughts?
I think all UFO stories are weird, and there's too many questions that are always left unanswered.
yes.
Yes. There's never any definite.
And I want to know what the purpose is here on Earth or wherever.
Because we're an
What-
experiment.
What they want from us, or
We're
what
an alien.
I mean, if they're
Okay,
that
I'm-
far in
let
advance
me-
that they can make those kind of machines, then what do they want with us?
I just said, why do
We're
people
their
have ant
experiment.
farms?
Yeah.
We're their alien ant farm. The alien ant farm.
Do you, on a spectrum, or where do you guys fall on? Do you believe in UFOs from other galaxies?
Well, I
Yeah.
think they come from
All of-
other galaxies.
All of the above. I also think some of it is like a fringe experiment type thing too, where we're coming to visit ourselves from a different universe, a different
Yeah.
realm.
I've always said that.
Yeah.
How do we know that that is not just us coming back in time?
Yeah. Right.
Could be.
Okay, guys. Anybody else got anything to say?
Nope.
Nope.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good week. Love yous.
Bye.
Bye.